Chapter 4. A creaking floor was usually enough to wake me. A pistol slide racking rated overkill. There weren't many among the Crimson Glaive capable of disabling my wards. I threw out a guess. "What took you so long, Raheem?" I asked without moving. Moving meant dying in. Call me crazy. I'm not a big fan of dying. A deep voice, cold, convincing, replied as the slide released. "Raheem's not coming, tonight or any other night. He failed to adapt with the changing times, and I retired him." Retired a cleric with 3 decades of frontline experience? Here we go. The voice was familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. I inhaled and tensed my core. "Don't," New Guy replied, calm as a man waiting in a checkout line. New Guy had me dead to rights, and had disarmed my wards. That meant he was packing more than a little essence under the hood. I remained frozen. "Okay, Fonzie, stay cool. I got nowhere to go, except maybe work Monday morning," I said evenly. I fingered the plastic fob concealed beneath my pillow. Escape was a matter of proper timing. That, and stalling long enough for the other guy to screw up. "Why don't you tell me how we can work things out?" "It's Hassani, Heretic. Abdil Hassani," the intruder replied. "Not that it matters given the circumstances. You've hidden the winter's bite here among your filth. Tell me where, and your death shall be cleaner than you deserve." "And if I don't," I replied, glibly, "I'd like to have all my options on the table." I sensed Abdil's weight shift. A glimpse of the wraith-like assassin inched into the closet mirror. Medium build, dark suit, chrome-plated hand cannon glinting in the moonlight. I gauged his distance to my secret X marks the spot. The assassin would want to be sure he did the job right, that I hadn't cheated him of a kill by any magical means. I could respect that kind of work ethic, if it wasn't aimed at the back of my skull. He stopped just shy of the marker. Damn. "I'm disappointed. I expected more from you, Frostbite. Your reputation among the senior clerics was impeccable," Abdil said. "From the looks of this shithole, it seems like they might have overestimated you. And for God's sake, who sleeps with his gun on the nightstand, on the far side of the bed?" He sniggered, taking a final step. The floor creaked. X marks the spot. "The guy with more than one gun," I said. I squeezed my eyes shut and clicked the hidden fob. A shotgun blasted through the closet mirror, filling the air with thunder and flame and broken glass. The impact slammed Abdil's shoulder first into the wall behind him. "Still disappointed, asshole?" I snatched my pistol from the nightstand, keeping the door covered as I climbed back into my clothes. My feet found their boots at the spot by the bedside. "I know what you're thinking. Why the panic? He just blew that guy away with the shotgun. Let me stop you right there. Properly prepared, mages could take much harder than shotgun blasts and ask for seconds. And if he was indeed a Crimson Glaive trained cleric, he had a few tricks of his own up his sleeve. Keeping the pistol trained on him was more than prudent. It was absolutely imperative. Rapid exfiltration is life. You never know when a band of pissed-off she-warlords and hungry demons was going to stumble upon your hidey hole, right? I had it down to about 40 seconds from the boomstick firing to the door clicking shut behind me, bag in hand. The kitchen was stop numero uno. I stepped cautiously past Abdil, then bolted for the cabinet above the sink. I grabbed the leather pouch hidden above the lintel and shoved it into a cargo pocket. A groan came from the bedroom. My gut sank. My guest had come prepared after all. I took a deep breath. This wasn't anything I couldn't handle. I'd rated among the best when I was with the Crimson Glaive. True, this jerk had shut down my wards without being knocked senseless. He had some game. Still, he was just one newbie cleric, right? "Take him down," Abdil growled through a coughing fit. Outside, a gruff voice barked a breaching command. That was unexpected. Clerics don't usually bring backup. New Guy had brought a deadly new playbook after all. Apparently, taking prized magical artifacts from a secure vault was more frowned upon than I remembered. Boots rumbled up the exterior stairs toward the front door, which just happened to be the door beside my go-bag. I considered bailing through the topside hatch, but figured that'd net me a bullet in the face. Instead, I rushed the cargo door and fired a burst at the sliver of night peeking in. The pistol roared and alarm shots came from the stairs. A basso voice yelled for cover. I shuddered at the familiar voice. It was Abdil's magically enhanced to counter the commotion. The Crimson Glaive had definitely sent an A-lister. "Wise move, assholes," I shouted. I swung my gun around and fired at the recovering cleric. Abdil dived inside my tiny bedroom and kicked the door shut. There was a heavy crash, which I figured meant the closet had been toppled over for cover. "Joke's on you, pal. You'd be better off hiding behind wet newspaper." "You've got 5 shots left, Heretic," Abdil ground. "Better make 'em count." I hated being called that. If abandoning an organization whose methods would have soured Hitler's stomach was grounds for accusations of heresy, you can assume they didn't have a friendly cancellation policy. "Double down on underestimating me, New Guy. How about you send your guys home so nobody gets hurt?" Think of all the workers' comp paperwork you'll be saving. What do you say? There was a metallic click and what sounded like a spring releasing. A canister the size of a spray paint can smashed through a window, dented my fridge, and rolled to my foot. No more games and gambles, Winters, Abdiel said over the eerie sounds of readying weapons. Crap. The gas grenade hissed and belched an acrid plume of emerald. Let me tell you firsthand, gas sucks. It's sloppy and indiscriminate. I hate it. Flushing the gas out the window with the blast of summer air was an option, but God knew how long it'd take to clear, and anybody bringing gas grenades to a party was probably wearing proper respirators anyway. It's how I would have played it when I was a cleric. Hot tears streamed from my stinging eyes like I'd just seen a highlight reel filled with sappy Hallmark commercials. Sulfur filled up my nose. My throat burned after the first choked down breath. Staying? Out. Window? Out. Only one move left. I channeled my will, then limbed the bistro-style kitchen table with hardened bands of the essence. The table was unwieldy, but I hefted it like a jouster's shield. A muscular figure in dark camouflage and night vision goggles followed a sleek submachine gun through the door, sweeping the cabin with a bright green beam. The higher gun wore a snout-like respirator, and I recognized the telltale swell of heavy body armor. No way my Colt had punched through that, so I did the next best thing. "Illumina!" I shouted. Sudden, searing daylight filled the Skymaster. I barely blinked in time. The merc with the night vision wasn't as lucky. He hollowed through his respirator and pressed the back of an armored glove into his visor. I pistol-whipped the base of his neck, and he went down hard. Banking unsurprised, I barreled through the double-wide cargo door, table shield readied. The team of mercenaries waiting outside let it rip before I'd covered 2 steps. Submachine gun fire erupted, muzzle flashes strobing in brilliant oranges. Bullets ricocheted from my shield like angry wasps plinking a tin roof, peppering the air stairs. I'm no badass. Being shot at isn't something you get used to, but in situations like this, you move to live, or you stay put and die. The table's bluish limb flickered as it absorbed dozens of impacts. The enchantment wouldn't last forever, and it wouldn't be long before mercenary bullets broke through. It was time for some offense. Running short on breath and eyes trickling streams, I rushed down the stairs as the mercs reloaded, keeping the table raised. A single Colt pistol versus a half-dozen submachine guns made for crappy odds. Each shot had to count. It's a dick move shooting a guy in the foot, but if said guy is covered in military-grade body armor, you do what you gotta do. My grandfather's old service weapon barked a few times in as many seconds. The 2 mercs closest to me screamed and collapsed, clutching at their ruined feet and spraying automatic fire into the air. The 4 remaining mercenaries backpedaled, finding cover behind clumps of mechanical wreckage strewn about the Skymaster. They returned fire, and the cerulean shell around my table dulled. The glass cracked to find spider webs. The edges of my vision frayed. I'm usually good for basic shields, but holding up against a barrage of shots point blank isn't as easy as those Hollywood wizards make it look. I couldn't keep it up much longer. I needed hard cover, or I was cooked. The mercenaries' guns finally ran dry. I peered over the table and fired a couple of shots. I didn't need kill shots, just ones to convince them to stay behind cover. The shots plinked from an old Mitsubishi engine, and the mercs ducked clear. I bolted. It was a great plan, for all of 3 seconds. I weaved through the piles of scrap metal and discarded tires, relying mostly on muscle memory to keep me upright. Bullets tore up bits of earth behind my heels and rattled the boneyard's debris. I cursed when I realized I'd been cut off from my truck. I needed to draw them deeper into the boneyard, maybe take down a couple, double back, and then bail through the ingressi portal. "What are you waiting for? Take him!" Abdiel's enhanced voice boomed. A fresh jolt of fear twisted my guts as I ran with my head on a swivel. New guy was smart, breaking out the psych warfare. If I didn't keep cool, I'd be getting fitted for a pine box by sunrise. I wiped my eyes and looked for the tags I'd spray painted near the traps I'd set. I sprinted between a pair of Japanese Zeros. A neon orange cross gleamed from one of their tail sections. I cracked a half smile. The geyser. I crouched behind the Zero's landing gear and summoned the essence. The magic didn't need to be precise, it just needed to draw their attention. I flicked my wrist and fired a projectile of concentrated will at the trap's center. The magic struck the ground, casting the sound of glass breaking and a muffled cry of pain. A pair of mercenaries swept around the bend toward the faux sound. 2 more followed. If I got lucky, all 4 would run straight into the geyser trap. I held my breath and flexed my fingers on the Colt's grip. "Wait!" a muffled voice shouted. A trailing mercenary reached out a hand for his comrades on instinct, but it was too late. The first 2 mercenaries breached the trap, triggering the magical mechanism. An orange flash swallowed the mercenaries and flung them 40 feet into the night sky. 2 gasping yelps quickly pitched to screams as they flailed through the air, crashing into the duck pond just off the boneyard's main access road. Abdiel's voice rang out. "An excellent gravity warp, Heretic, but you're going to need more than carnival tricks. Return what you've stolen, and your death will be very nearly painless." My head cocked to one side. Enhanced or not, I knew that voice. But from where? I peeked out from cover just as Abdiel stepped into a pool of floodlight. My jaw clenched. It was the wounded boy's father. I owe you for that lowbrow shotgun incident, Abdiel said, fingering one of several holes in his designer suit jacket. Come out so I can pay up. The hell with that. I crouch-walked behind the Zeros, searching for a way to circumvent the cleric and his remaining men. The mercenaries swept their laser sights over the rusted aircraft. They'd have found a random fugitive for sure, but I'd scoped out each and every step I'd ever taken in a situation like crash. Something snagged the toe of my boot and I fell hard onto a shoulder. The merc's laser sight snapped at me before I'd finished grunting. I was already rolling when a staccato of gunfire pelted the ground beside me. I dove behind an air stairs shuttle as a second barrage of gunfire slammed into its sides. I checked the Colt's magazine. 2 very depressing rounds left. The distant rumbling I felt in my chest earlier during the MBTA disaster returned. This time, it brought a hungry, primal voice with it. No, damn it, not now. Why not now? You dishonor our agreement, cowering like prey. I shook my head against the intrusive voice. I said not now, not ever. That was the gamble, remember? It had been a wager for the ages I'd made with the demon Arctus, the Winter Wolf. Power in exchange for my soul should innocent blood be spilt. The demon's sardonic laugh vibrated my ears. Sooner or later, every man gives in to the hunger. The Winter Wolf's presence evaporated, and I was suddenly very aware of boots crunching perilously closer. I reached up and over my cover and blind fired toward my pursuers. My pistol's slide locked open. Empty. You Crimson Glaive assholes make me sick. You know that new guy? I said. What is it with you clowns and using kids to get things done? A fate stealer? Bombing a bus? Come on. Unfortunate necessities to flush you out, Abdiel replied, somberly. I wish it weren't so, but our options are limited. Our enemy 100-fold better suited for war. We do what we must. Give me the winter's bite, Frostbite. Without it, our cause is surely lost by year's end, and the Unity will once and for all eradicate the essence from this world. Is that something you truly desire? The Unity doesn't want to eradicate anything, Cleric, I replied. They never did. They wanted us to simply slow our roll. Our people stepped beyond our place in the Foreverscape out of sheer arrogance, and then had the audacity to declare war after the Elder races asked for our patience. Lies! Abdiel shouted, his voice echoing without the benefit of magic. They wish to keep the essence for themselves. They tore us from our birthright. They stopped us from tainting that birthright with our hubris, Abdiel Hassani. How much longer do you think it would have been before mankind's arrogance spread through the realms, I replied. I thought I heard the cleric's teeth grinding. Enough of this. No more lies. I felt the surge of a metric ton of essence being drawn up. The rising energy crackled in the air, prickling my skin. Whatever he was cooking up was something I'd only want to see from about 1,000 miles away. A British Spitfire suddenly grown to life. A propeller that hadn't spun in decades creaked and groaned, spooling up with sputtering whines. The cleric's men quickly trained their weapons on the plane, but Abdiel's magic was still bearing down on me. I fumbled for a fresh magazine in my pack. And then all hell broke loose.